Hey there. We are taking a deep dive today into a fascinating area, the metaphysical side of depression.
Okay.
You guys sent in some sources that explore this from a really unique angle,
Yes,
focusing on what's happening energetically.
absolutely.
So to start off, when hypnotherapists are working with someone who's experiencing depression,
Right.
what do they actually see in their energy field?
Well, they describe a lack of vibrancy
Hmm,
and light.
interesting.
Instead of bright, clear colors, there are a lot of muted tones,
Okay.
like grays, browns, and dark greens.
Uh-huh.
Some even describe the energy as feeling dense and heavy,
Hmm.
almost like a burden.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful image. It makes me think of someone carrying around a heavy weight.
Yeah.
Are there specific energy centers or pathways that seem particularly affected?
Yes, several chakras are consistently highlighted in these
Oh,
descriptions. For example, the root chakra, which
ah,
is all about feeling rounded and safe in the world,
right.
often appears depleted or even leaking energy.
So if someone is struggling with anxiety or feeling a lack of security in their life, could that be related to the root chakra?
It certainly could be.
Okay.
And that's not the only chakra that's affected.
Gotcha.
The sacral chakra, which is linked to creativity and joy,
Right.
is often blocked or sluggish.
Hmm.
Imagine feeling creatively stifled, unable to find joy in things you used to love.
Yeah.
That could be a sign of a blocked sacral chakra.
That makes sense. It's like the energy that normally flows through these centers is being constricted.
Exactly. And it doesn't stop there. The solar plexus chakra,
Yeah.
associated with personal power and self-esteem,
Right.
is often diminished in people experiencing depression. The heart chakra, connected to love and connection,
Yeah.
can become closed off and appear gray.
Wow.
Even the crown chakra, are linked to spirituality and a sense of purpose, can close
Yeah.
down.
It sounds like a real domino effect where one chakra being out of balance can impact the others,
Yes,
creating this overall feeling of depletion and stagnation.
that's a great way to put it. And this leads to a really interesting question
Yeah.
raised by one of the hypnotherapists.
Yeah.
The idea that what we call depression today might not have existed in the same way in the past.
Oh, that's intriguing. What makes her think that?
Well, she described it as a more modern affliction,
Oh.
suggesting that societal factors play a big role.
Okay.
Think about the fast-paced, demanding nature of modern life.
Right.
We're constantly bombarded with information and stimulation,
Yeah.
and many people feel disconnected from nature and genuine human connection.
So it's like we're living in this hyper-stimulated environment that's actually draining our energy rather than nourishing it.
Precisely. It's like trying to thrive in a garden that's constantly being blasted with harsh winds and artificial light.
Oh, wow.
It's no wonder we're seeing such a rise in depression.
And to make things even more interesting, some of the sources describe depression as a kind of psychic infection, almost like a contagious energy.
Right.
They point to the influence of things like media technology and even the possibility of intentional manipulation through frequencies.
That's where the idea of energetic cords comes in.
Okay.
It's the concept that we form invisible energetic connections with other people, places, and even ideas.
Interesting.
Now, most of the time, these connections are neutral or even positive,
Right.
but they can also become conduits for negative energy.
So if you're constantly exposed to negativity, whether it's from the news, social media, or even just the general vibe of a particular place, it's like you're absorbing that energy through these invisible cords.
That's the idea. And it's not always something we're consciously aware of. It can be subtle, but over time, it can really take a toll
Right.
on our energy levels and emotional well-being.
That's a bit unnerving. It makes you wonder about the kind of energy we're exposed to on a daily basis.
Yeah.
But some of these sources go even further, suggesting that there might be intentional manipulation using specific frequencies to influence people's moods and even induce depression-like symptoms.
That's a pretty controversial claim,
Right.
and it's important to approach it with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Of course.
But it does make you think about the power of sound and frequency.
Yeah.
We all know how certain types of music can evoke strong emotions.
Right.
So it's not a stretch to consider that other frequencies might have a similar effect
Sure.
on our energy and mood.
That does raise some interesting questions about the unseen forces at play in our world.
It does.
But before we delve too deep into that rabbit hole,
Sure.
I want to come back to something more practical.
Okay.
Given this understanding of energy and how depression manifests in the energy body, what did the hypnotherapists observe about the effects of antidepressants?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And it's one that highlights the potential limitations of conventional approaches to treating depression.
Okay.
What they observed was that while antidepressants can provide temporary relief from symptoms, they don't necessarily address the underlying energetic imbalances that contribute to depression.
So it's like putting a Band-Aid on a wound without actually cleaning it or allowing it to heal properly.
That's a good analogy. And the hypnotherapist noticed some distinct differences
Okay.
between the energetic effects of herbal remedies versus pharmaceutical antidepressants.
Okay.
Herbal remedies tended to have a gentler, more supportive effect
Gotcha.
on the energy body. They saw them calming the nervous system and subtly replenishing energy,
Yeah.
almost like giving the energy field a gentle boost.
So it's like providing nourishment and support to allow the body's natural healing mechanisms to kick in.
Exactly. But with pharmaceutical antidepressants, it was different.
Okay.
They often observed a kind of energetic numbness, a disconnect between the physical body and the subtle energy bodies.
So it's almost like the medication is suppressing the symptoms rather than addressing the root cause of the energetic imbalance.
That seems to be the case. One hypnotherapist even described it as a veil that prevented the person from fully experiencing their emotions and connecting with their true selves.
That's a bit concerning.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder about the long-term effects of suppressing those emotions
Yeah.
rather than working through them.
It certainly raises some important questions about the potential trade-offs of different treatment approaches. And this is where the hypnotherapists really emphasize the importance of addressing the root causes of the energy depletion and restoring the natural flow of energy through the system.
So it's not just about masking the symptoms, but about empowering individuals to take an active role in their own healing and reclaim their energetic sovereignty.
Precisely. And that's what we'll delve into next.
Okay.
We'll explore the specific practices and techniques that these hypnotherapists recommend for breaking free from the energetic grip of depression.
Sounds fascinating. I can't wait to dive into that.
And restoring balance and vitality to the energy body.
All right, so we've talked about the energetic picture of depression. Now let's get into the good stuff, the techniques these hypnotherapists use to actually help people shift their energy and start feeling better.
Yeah.
Were there any approaches that stood out to you as particularly interesting?
One technique I found fascinating is called emotional restructuring.
Okay.
The hypnotherapist guides the person to really examine their negative thoughts and beliefs, especially the ones about themselves and their experiences. They help them identify those beliefs that might be holding them back.
So instead of just feeling overwhelmed by negative thoughts, they're learning to step back and question them.
Exactly. The goal is to help the person see that they have a choice.
Okay.
They can continue to believe those limiting thoughts.
Right.
Or they can choose to replace them with something more positive and empowering.
That's a really important distinction, recognizing that we have the power to choose our thoughts.
Yes.
It's not about pretending everything is perfect, but about shifting from a negative mindset to one that's more hopeful and constructive.
Absolutely. And this shift in mindset can have a ripple effect on the entire energy body.
Were there any other techniques that focused on shifting energy in a really tangible way?
Visualization was another powerful tool they used. The hypnotherapist would guide the person to create a vivid mental image of themselves as healthy, happy, and whole. They would encourage them to really feel what it would be like to live their best life free from the weight of depression.
That's interesting. So it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about engaging all the senses and creating a felt experience of what it would be like to be free from depression.
Exactly. And the mind-body connection is so powerful that when we vividly imagine something, our body often responds as if it's actually happening.
So by visualizing a positive outcome, we're essentially sending a signal to our body and our energy field to start aligning with that vision.
That's the idea. And this ties back to the concept of energetic sovereignty we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we have the power to shape our reality with our thoughts, beliefs, and intentions.
So it's not just about passively accepting whatever thoughts and emotions come up. It's about actively choosing the ones we want to cultivate.
Precisely. And that leads us to another set of techniques that the hypnotherapists used.
Okay.
Energy clearing methods.
Okay, so what are energy clearing techniques and how do they work?
Essentially, they're practices designed to remove blockages and stagnant energy from the aura and chakras.
Okay.
Imagine your energy field as a garden hose. If there's a kink in the hose, the water can't flow freely. Energy clearing techniques are like removing the kinks.
Gotcha.
So that the life force energy can flow smoothly through the system.
So it's like giving your energy body a good spring cleaning.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And there are so many different methods people can use.
Yeah.
Some people work with crystals and essential oils,
Right.
while others use sound healing or energy healing modalities like Reiki.
It seems like there's a lot of room for experimentation to find what resonates with each individual. Do the hypnotherapists notice any consistent results from these energy clearing techniques?
People often reported feeling a sense of lightness, clarity, and renewed energy.
Interesting.
Some described it as feeling like a weight had been lifted from their shoulders.
Yeah.
It's like they're finally able to breathe deeply and fully again.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It really highlights how interconnected our physical, emotional, and energetic bodies are.
Absolutely. And something else that came up repeatedly
Yeah.
in these sources is the importance of connecting with nature
Hey.
as a way to shift energy and promote healing.
Why is nature so beneficial from an energetic perspective? I know I always feel more grounded and peaceful after spending time outdoors.
Nature is a powerful source of energy,
Mm-hmm.
and it vibrates at a much higher frequency than most of the artificial environments we spend our time in. When we're in nature,
Yeah.
our energy fields can synchronize with those higher frequencies, helping to clear out negativity and restore balance.
It's almost like nature acts as a tuning fork for our energy bodies.
That's a great way to put it. And even simple things like taking a walk in the park, sitting under a tree, or listening to the sounds of birds singing can make a big difference.
So it's not about having to go on a big retreat. It's about incorporating those small moments of connection with nature into our daily lives.
Exactly. And if you have the opportunity to walk barefoot on the earth, that's even better.
Right.
It helps to ground your energy and draw up the earth's healing vibrations.
I've heard that called earthing, and I've definitely felt the benefits firsthand. But what about those times when we can't get outside? Are there practices we can do indoors to shift our energy and get that same feeling of grounding and balance?
Absolutely. One of the simplest and most effective techniques is deep breathing.
Okay.
When we breathe shallowly, we restrict the flow of energy through our bodies.
Right.
But when we breathe deeply and consciously, we bring in more oxygen,
Mm-hmm.
which nourishes our cells and helps to clear out stagnant energy.
It's amazing how such a basic physiological function can have such a profound impact on our energetic state.
It really is. And there are so many different breathing techniques that can be helpful.
Yeah.
Alternate nostril breathing is great for calming the nervous system,
Okay.
while diaphragmatic breathing helps to release tension in the belly, where we often store stress and negative emotions.
It sounds like breathing is a really accessible tool for regulating our energy and shifting our emotional state.
It definitely is. And speaking of accessible tools, let's talk about something that might seem a little unexpected,
Cool.
connecting with our inner child.
Okay, so how does our inner child relate to depression and energetic healing? It seems like a bit of a jump.
Well, think about it. When we're depressed, we often lose touch with our sense of joy, wonder, and spontaneity. We become serious, withdrawn,
Yeah.
and disconnected from the simple pleasures of life.
Right.
Connecting with our inner child is about reclaiming that sense of playfulness and lightness that's so essential for our well-being.
So it's about remembering what it feels like to be carefree and fully present in the moment without all the worries and anxieties of adulthood weighing us down.
Exactly. And it can be as simple as spending time with children, engaging in activities that we loved as kids, or just allowing ourselves to be silly and have fun without judgment.
So go ahead, dust off that old board game.
Yeah.
Break out the art supplies.
Exactly.
Put on some music and dance like nobody's watching.
Let yourself loose and rediscover the joy of simply being alive.
Yeah.
It's incredibly healing for the energy body.
That's great advice. It reminds us that healing doesn't always have to be serious and intense. Sometimes it's about allowing ourselves to have fun and be lighthearted.
And that lightness can be incredibly powerful.
Right.
It helps to raise our vibration and shift us out of those heavy, stagnant energies that contribute to depression.
So we've talked about emotional restructuring, visualization, energy clearing techniques, connecting with nature, deep breathing, and even playing like a child. Were there any other key takeaways from these hypnotherapy sessions that you think are important to highlight?
Yes, and this one is crucial.
Okay.
Especially for people who are sensitive to energy or who tend to get drained by others. The hypnotherapists consistently emphasize the importance of setting healthy boundaries and protecting our energy.
Why is that so important, particularly for people who are prone to depression?
When we're depressed, our energy field is often weakened,
Right.
making us more susceptible to absorbing negative energy from others. It's like having a leaky aura
Interesting.
that allows negativity to seep in. Setting boundaries is about plugging those leaks and creating a protective shield around our energy field.
So it's not about shutting ourselves off from the world. It's about creating a healthy filter that allows us to engage with others from a place of strength and empowerment.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that we have a right to protect our own energy
Yes,
and to say no to people or situations that are draining us.
that's so empowering.
Yeah.
It's about taking responsibility for our own well-being and recognizing that we don't have to be doormats for other people's energy.
And it's not selfish either. When we set healthy boundaries and take care of our own energy, we actually have more to give to others.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like the oxygen mask analogy. You have to put on your own mask first before you can help others.
Exactly. And this ties back to the concept of energetic sovereignty. It's about recognizing that we are the ultimate authority over our own energy body.
Right.
And that we have the power to choose how we interact with energy.
So it's about becoming conscious of our energy, learning how to manage it effectively, and setting healthy boundaries to protect our well-being.
Precisely. And it's a journey, not a destination.
Okay.
As we become more aware of our energy, we can continue to refine our boundaries and make choices that support our highest good.
This has been so insightful. I'm already feeling more empowered just hearing about these different techniques.
I'm glad to hear that. And remember, healing is a process.
Right.
And it's okay to take things one step at a time. Experiment with different practices, find what resonates with you, and be patient with yourself.
That's great advice. And before we move on, there's one more topic I want to touch on. The importance of finding a supportive community and connecting with others who understand what it's like to experience depression from an energetic perspective.
That's a really important point. When we're struggling with depression, it's easy to feel isolated and alone.
Right.
But connecting with others who've been there can be incredibly validating and empowering.
It's like finding your tribe, those people who just get it.
Exactly. And it's not about comparing suffering or trying to one-up each other with stories.
Yeah.
It's about creating a safe and supportive space where people can share their experiences, offer encouragement, and learn from each other's journeys.
So it's about recognizing that we're not alone in this and that there's strength in numbers.
Absolutely. And when we connect with others who resonate with our experiences, it can help to shift our energy and remind us that healing is possible.
I love that. It's about creating a collective energy of healing and support.
Precisely. And speaking of healing, there's one more powerful tool that I want to highlight before we wrap up this segment.
Okay.
The practice of forgiveness.
That's interesting. How does forgiveness relate to the energetic picture of depression?
When we hold on to anger, resentment, and blame, it creates energetic blockages in our system. It's like carrying around a heavy backpack full of rocks. Forgiveness is about setting that backpack down and allowing ourselves to move forward with more lightness and ease.
So it's not about condoning or excusing the actions of those who've hurt us. It's about liberating ourselves from the weight of those negative emotions.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that forgiveness is a process.
Right.
And it doesn't happen overnight. But even the intention to forgive can start to shift our energy and open us up to greater healing.
This has been such an enlightening conversation. We've covered so much ground, from the energetic picture of depression to the many different practices that can support healing and transformation.
It's been my pleasure sharing these insights, and I think it's important to reiterate that these are just a few of the many tools and techniques available. The key is to experiment and find what works best for now.
That's a great reminder. We're all unique, and what resonates with one person might not resonate with another.
Absolutely. So trust your intuition, explore different practices, and be patient with yourself on your healing journey.
I love that. And speaking of journeys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll delve even deeper into this concept of energetic sovereignty and explore more ways to reclaim our power and create a life that's aligned with our highest potential. Welcome back to our deep dives into the energetic dimensions of depression.
Right.
Before the break, we were talking about the importance of setting those healthy boundaries
and
protecting our energy. And you mentioned that there's more to explore when it comes to reclaiming our energetic sovereignty.
Yes. One of the most intriguing aspects the hypnotherapist brought up is this idea of energetic cords.
Energetic cords?
These are invisible connections we form with other people, places, and even objects.
Invisible connections. It sounds almost like we're all plugged into some kind of energetic internet.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept. And just as a physical cord can transmit energy, these energetic cords can carry emotions, thoughts, and even physical sensations.
So how do these energetic cords relate to depression?
Well, the hypnotherapists observed that people with depression often have a lot of negative cords attached to them. These cords can be linked to past relationships, traumatic experiences, or even to our own negative thought patterns.
So it's almost like these negative cords are siphoning off our energy and feeding those feelings of sadness, hopelessness, or fatigue.
Exactly. And we're not always consciously aware of these cords or the impact they're having. They can operate beneath the surface, subtly draining our energy.
That's a little unsettling. But if we're not aware of them, how can we address them?
Well, awareness is the first step.
Right.
Start noticing how you feel around certain people or in specific places. Do you feel drained or uplifted? That can be a clue about the nature of the energetic cords that you might have.
Okay.
And once you become aware of them, there are techniques for cutting those cords and reclaiming your energy.
Like what kind of techniques?
Visualization is a powerful tool.
Okay.
Imagine yourself holding a golden sword or a pair of shears and clearly see yourself cutting the cords, releasing any negative energy or attachments that are no longer serving you.
It sounds almost symbolic, like cutting the ties that bind us to the past.
It is symbolic, but it can also be very effective on an energetic level.
Okay.
The intention behind the visualization is what matters most.
Right.
And it's important to do this with love and compassion, both for yourself and for the person or situation you're releasing.
That makes sense. It's about taking responsibility for our own energy and creating healthy boundaries.
Exactly. And once we start clearing out those negative cords, we create space for more positive and supportive connections.
It's like clearing out the weeds in a garden so that the flowers can thrive.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And speaking of nurturing our energy, one of the simplest yet most powerful practices for shifting our vibration is working with affirmations and positive self-talk.
I've heard a lot about affirmations, but never really understood how they work on an energetic level.
Well, our words have a profound impact on our energy field. Every time we speak negatively to ourselves, we reinforce those negative patterns and create blockages in our energy flow. But when we use affirmations and positive self-talk, we're essentially reprogramming our subconscious mind and creating new, more empowering energy patterns.
So it's about consciously choosing the thoughts we want to cultivate and using our words to align our energy with those thoughts.
Exactly. And it's important to choose affirmations that truly resonate with you. Phrases that feel uplifting and inspiring. The more you repeat them, the more they'll sink in and start to shift your energy.
It's like planting seeds of positivity in the garden of our mind.
I like that. And while we're on the topic of cultivating positivity, we can't overlook the power of gratitude.
Gratitude. How does that tie into healing depression?
Gratitude is one of the highest vibrational emotions we can experience. When we're focused on what we're grateful for, it shifts our energy from lack to abundance, from fear to love.
So it's about appreciating what we have rather than dwelling on what we don't.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything grand.
Right.
You can feel grateful for the simple things.
Yeah.
A warm cup of tea, a beautiful sunset, a kind word from a friend.
It's about training ourselves to notice and appreciate those everyday moments of joy.
Precisely. And the more we practice gratitude, the more we attract those positive experiences into our lives.
This has been such a rich and insightful conversation. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of depression and the many different ways we can approach healing and transformation from an energetic perspective.
It's been my pleasure sharing these insights. Remember, you are a powerful, energetic being, and you have the capacity to heal, to grow, and to create a life that is filled with joy and purpose.
And if you're listening and feeling the weight of depression, remember that you're not alone. There's hope, there's help, and there are many paths to healing. Start by taking small steps, explore the practices we've discussed, and trust in your own innate ability to heal and thrive. And as always, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deeper into the mysteries of your own being.
Beautifully said. Until next time, remember to nurture your energy, set healthy boundaries, and shine your light brightly.